And you can use these headphones here as your monitors, so that way you guys can hear your voices. The voices in your head. All right, Eve, I'm gonna bring you in. I'm gonna move some stuff here, so don't mind. I'm gonna be moving some stuff here, so don't mind me. I'm gonna try and keep quiet. But go for it.
Welcome to Speak Sex. I'm your host, Eurydice. I am a Greek poet from the island of Lesbos. I wrote 3 books on female sexuality: Satyricon USA with Scribner, F32, The Second Coming with Virago, F32. I've written the Sex Files column for years. I'm a multimedia artist with the theme of female sexuality and objectification and how to overcome the dichotomy between our bodies and our minds and our souls that no longer serves us. So that's the purpose for this podcast, is to find freedom through words, even though words are the product of the dominant culture. Find new words to recreate ourselves and open up space for sexual freedom, for sexual truth, for sexual energy, for the simple act of like touching our own body without thinking about it, without it meaning anything more than reassurance, physical reassurance. So thank you for listening. Thank you for trusting me as your sex whisperer. Today's guest is here all the way from London, UK. Lulu Brown is a musician and photographer. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah. So I know very little about you. I know your work. So I've seen your artwork and I'm a fan of it, but I know almost nothing about your sexual narrative and journey. So I'd love to start with hearing the basics of that, where you started, what you've learned, where you are.
So I did grow up in the UK and Europe, where sexuality is talked about a lot. It's quite mischievous, I would say. BDSM is out there. You can go walk down the street and you'll see bondage shops.
Right, yeah.
And it's quite normal within like Camden Market, for example. So it's always there, and I guess I'm going to start at the end.
Okay. Yeah.
This is the flourishing, this is the flowering of my sexuality. I would say in the past couple of years, I've really come into and been able to express my sexuality to the fullest, of exploring aspects of BDSM with a partner that also matches my intellectual needs and spiritual needs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Congratulations. Not easy.
And so why I start at the end is because the end is related to the beginning, because it's expressing the things that I felt from a very young age. When people are like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm like, I want to be a dominatrix.
No way. Wait, what age was that?
Oh my goodness. You know, in
12?
Like, yeah,
Wow.
12, yeah, 12, 13. Not that I really knew what that was.
Well, yeah, you didn't know all the details.
No, but you know, it was just that something about that.
Probably seen a cartoon in drawings
or just being around London, just
right,
seeing it.
Yeah.
You know.
Or manga, or
yeah,
I mean, there are lots of
that.
really
Actually,
great.
Funnily enough, this is one of my youngest kind of erotic memories. I had gotten some Japanese animation, and there was this character that was wearing like a red latex bodysuit, the big boobs, and I was like, yeah, that's sexy. I like that, you know. And I was like, I don't know what I'm feeling here, but it's exciting. So yeah, and that curiosity and ability to express parts of yourself when you're younger compared to when you're older take on completely different shades. Because as a young person, maybe like, you know, exploring my body, I'm just exploring, I'm seeing what it does, how it reacts. And it's a different level of intimacy. Where being older now, there's this intimacy that is mature, that is in union, that's no longer exploratory, but is evolutionary, where we come together for a sharing of energy, and we understand the alchemy of bodies coming together, of sexuality coming together. So it's a completely different view on what it is, and being able to really come into myself and express myself in in society where my sexuality is sacred to me and everyone else's sexuality is sacred to them. And once we have mutual respect, I need to share it with the world, but I'm not going to hide it either. But not everyone is worthy of that part of myself.
That's right.
Sacred.
Beautiful, sister. Yes, yes, yes. I think that's very important, you know, for women especially, to not just give away their sex, you know, their sexual power, their sexual, you know, release. Give it away thoughtlessly or indiscriminately, or to someone who will not use it for good. You know, will turn them into an object, a receptacle, and that's about it. Yeah, that's beautiful.
And
to
then
know
how
that
I
choice.
use it.
Right, to
know,
use it yourself.
Because when I was younger, it was definitely like, I'm just exploring, I'm just out here. Like, all right, my first time was like, all right, I'm gonna see what this is all about. Let me go find a mate. It's like, okay, all right, this is what it is. Boring.
Well, I think everybody's first time, I mean, the only thing that makes the first time, you know, wonderful at all is if you're insane in love and have waited for so long, right, that finally the release is just great. Right, because which is like the old model of waiting and waiting and waiting and making out for like years. So you get, but otherwise no one knows what they're doing. So, you know, the body itself, its first time doesn't really know what's happening.
Yeah, it's so nice.
Yeah.
So with the BDSM, I think
you went into BDSM right away.
No, I've always been interested in BDSM.
Right, as you said, yeah.
It's always been there. I've always kind of wanted to play with a partner in that way, and, you know, bit by bit bring certain aspects out.
So, like, start with spanking or
biting, spanking, choking, candles.
Okay, candles is definitely a little more evolved. Biting and spanking and, you know, and slapping seems like everybody, you know, can feel that urge at some moment without needing the props, right? And you had that from your 20s, from your
I guess
teens?
the big bomb, which I was trying to hold until later on. I have always wanted to penetrate a man. I don't know why. It really turns me on. There's something about it that, you know, they get to feel us from the inside. I would just want to feel a man from the inside.
Right.
You know, like playing with a man's prostate. I don't know, when he climaxes on my fingers it's a really nice feeling, in a sense of like, yeah, I did that.
That's great.
You know, and that's definitely been since I was younger.
How old?
Probably around the same time as kind of the dominatrix thing, and, you know, like 12, 13, 14, that sort of awakening. I definitely didn't explore that until my 30s. When
you found a man who was willing or who asked.
And was really open about it. Even a little bit in my late 20s, but not to this level. Because I think, you know, for a mate, it takes for a man also, it might take a certain level of maturity that might not come until a certain age. That
openness, that you know, place where you feel you don't have to sacrifice any masculinity,
vulnerability,
right, to be vulnerable and still feel masculine. Which is important, because none of us want to rob the man of their masculinity. It just doesn't have to be so, you know, narrow. It
isn't always a power play.
And giving up power, you know, the exchange of power is more interesting because it's more, you know, diverse. It's not so repetitive. So giving up the power and then taking power, right, becomes much more multi-layered.
Because it's a gift.
Right.
You know, in this exchange, it's a gift of power between each other.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you feel more when you receive than when you give. I mean, practically speaking, specifically on like the physical level, not emotionally or spiritually or energetically, but just basically like, you know, the nerves and the sinews of the body.
Yeah.
You just feel more when things are done to you than when you do things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And especially as a male with a little, you know, the very short orgasmic span, the ejaculation, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can only be enriching, but it's what's the mental part is the limiting, you know, that it's very hard in our society still to this day for a heteronormative male to just be open about any of that stuff without feeling emasculated, you know. It's silly, but true.
I think there's a lot more out there, you know. They just
Who are just not out.
and I think
right?
I think they just need to play with themselves. Explore yourself more. That goes for men and women. Explore yourself. How do you orgasm? What turns you on? What doesn't? You know yourself sexually, so you can go out there and you know what you want. You know how to express it, and then release it in a healthy way.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. You know, masturbation is like one of the first lessons for sex ed. Yeah, there's no better. And then like buy a couple of toys and see what happens. Right? Yeah.
No, my first orgasm wasn't with a partner, it was by myself, masturbating.
Yeah, of course, me too. Because masturbated long before I had a partner. So yeah. And very strangely, you know, even though I did attach a lot of shame and fear and horror because I was young to masturbation, because I didn't even have a word for it when I was a child, when I was young, and I knew it was bad. So you know, that's all I understood, that I shouldn't be doing it. I was doing it, you know, I was being bad, but I just liked it so much. So that's that, you know, cycle of self-blame for something that's so natural, because we don't speak about it. You can't tell anyone. You can't go to school and tell your girlfriends, do you play with your... I didn't know the word clitoris. There is no words for it or space to say anything about it.
I don't know, my experience was different. I was single parent family.
Oh, okay, good.
Single parent was male.
Okay, good.
He was very, very scientific about things. He bought me this pop-up book of you know, the vagina and the penis, and there was all these scientific names, and you would pull one part and you would see like the egg going down the fallopian tube. So I had all these scientific labels for it, so I could, you know, vocalize it. And I don't know, we were very open about
that's
sexuality.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's a blessing. Where's your dad from? What culture?
Belgium.
Okay, yeah. Again, more liberated than, you know, Greeks from the islands.
But he was definitely a hippie. Definitely a hippie.
So that's a blessing, because you got that start. You didn't have to overcome the shame first. That's great. That's why.
Well, the shame came from me, because I was like, ew, this is like too much, you know. Like, I felt embarrassed about it because it was it like in popular culture then. It's not really talked about. You know, you squirm a little bit. It's like, this is gross. It's like that when you're a kid, like maybe 5, 6, 7. You know, you see poo. Ooh, it's poo.
You so squirm with anything that has to do with the body. Yeah.
So that kind of shame. But then the shame did come because with the pegging thing, because no one really talks about that, and even bisexuality is like, is there something? Even finding a partner that was compatible with me properly. Like, is there something wrong with me? Do I need to change? Like, am I not normal? Should I try this, you know, vanilla lifestyle? And you know what? It's not for me. So after a while, you know, I just didn't have a partner for a long time, because I'm just lying to you, I'm lying to myself. We're not compatible, and that's okay. You know, not trying to force myself into a situation as a young adult, because you just want to fit in sometimes. You think you need to fit in because that's how it's supposed to be.
Because not all of the role modeling includes everyone.
No.
So
Yeah.
So
I didn't even
so
know
limited.
the word peg. I didn't know that existed till like 3 years ago. It's like, do you like pegging? I'm like, what's that? And he's like, penetrating a man with a strap, and I'm like, yeah. I didn't know that's what it was. So it's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's good that the words are coming out. Yeah. And so, but you are mostly hetero.
I like what I like, and I'm very picky. So I have male intimate partners, long term, and female intimate partners who are long term. But we have very clear understandings and boundaries in different ways we express our love to each other. In terms of penetrative sex, that is something that I don't. I'm a monogamous in that sense with a man of one penis at a time. So I think it's the energy exchange. It's the energy exchange.
Yeah. No, I get you completely.
I'm very, very sensitive to energies.
Right.
You know, I can feel you 1,000 miles away. So I don't need to mess up my energy space with your energy space and a bunch of who knows who energy spaces. So that's where I say that I'm picky with my mates and my partners.
So let me just rephrase it. You have a primary partner when it comes to heterosexual sex, and for the length of that relationship, his penis is the only penis that comes inside you. Yeah. For that reason that you just described. Yeah. But then you can peg other men, or you can have sex with other women.
No. That's not. I mean, it's not really. I've had the opportunity to explore that, but it's not really my thing. You know. Yeah. I'm kind of. When I'm in a relationship, I'm with that person.
That's nice.
I'm kind of happy. Now, when I'm not in a quote unquote, when we define those terms as you are my partner, you know, I have my lovers, you know, and we share space. But generally, you know, I have my girlfriend, and we do girly things together. Long-term girlfriend, and I have my male partner, been a few years as well, you know, and we have an understanding between each other. But when if
so you're like friends with benefits, to say it in the most common popular term, you know. And
yes, but if one of us is in a relationship, then we respect the boundaries of that relationship.
Exactly. Yeah. And while you're in between relationships, you have familiarity and history, so you feel safe, and you can kind of like pick up where you left off. Yeah, which is nice. Yeah, it's very important to be able to sustain a sexual relationship past that beginning and end that the mainstream culture gives. You know, I feel it's liberating and evolved to not go into these like heavy, dramatic, melodramatic, emotional states of like love has to become hate, and you know, when I'm with you, I love you. When you betray me, or you go with someone else, or I betray you, then we go into like huge conflict mode and hate and drama, the emotional pain body, which then feeds on itself, right? So then all we do is just obsess, obsess with the drama, and live in that devastating, for me, energetically, you know, energetically devastating drama mode, because the pain body, you know, the little monster inside you gets bigger and bigger as you feed it. And you don't, you know, if you're not conscious, you don't stop in time. And I think it really, like, logically, there is no logic in these things, but if you try in good sense, in like a human sense, to understand this, if you love somebody, you can't just hate them overnight because of, you know, human frailty, because we're all frail beings in need of mercy, and we will all falter, right? So
but
I think it's wonderful.
It's the human condition,
right? It's the human condition.
You know, we are here to learn, to make mistakes, to love, to falter, to forgive, to go through all the emotions, loss,
emotion, betrayal, rejection,
abandonment,
abandonment.
You know, and you can be to take it to kind of a different direction within astrology, everyone has the Chiron, the wounded healer, within their chart, and that is sometimes a signature for the kind of wound you're going to feel within a certain lifetime. And this bands for between generations. 10 years they'll feel this, 10 years they'll feel that, depending on what sign it's in. So you can also look at it that way. So, and that helps you to not be attached to the emotion. The emotion is something which is felt, it is not us.
Yeah, I agree with you very much. Yeah, and I do actually use astrology for that specific reason. And people ask me, they say, do you believe that? Do you really believe like your horoscope? I'm like, no, it has nothing at all to do with the horoscope. What you get is exactly one more methodology, and we can use all of them, and one more methodology to get away from yourself and look at yourself from the outside.
The bigger picture.
Yes, the bigger picture is, it's the full moon, the ocean is rising, the water and the blood in me is rising, that's why I feel this way. So it could be physical or it could be emotional, right? But having the sense that there may be other actors, other, whether it's planetary or anything, whatever you want to name it, besides yourself, it allows you space, right, to look at yourself and not think, I can fix this, it's my fault, I did it, I'll undo it, I.
Take it personally.
Right, take it personally, which is where the rejection comes back in. If we don't take rejection as a personal affront and insult, a lot of this drama doesn't have to happen. If we could just think that the other person did their best in that moment, in that space,
that's it,
then we don't suffer. We don't have 3 more years of obsessing and emotional pain, and so it's really for our own evolution. And I think it's admirable that you're able to have relationships, long-term relationships with people where you go in and you go out without the sense of possessiveness and ownership.
I do think that that's a British thing. I don't know, it is completely different. The dating scene out there compared to here is completely different.
And how's that?
I think in the UK, people are a lot more upfront and honest about what it is that they want and what it is that they don't want, how a relationship evolves over time. You meet someone, you get it on, maybe not, you become friends, you hang out, you get to know each other, but you start off with this foundation of, right, you're cool, we'll hang out, we might do a thing, I may not see you for a while, but I'll see you in the pub or whatever, and we'll carry on. We're just feeling each other out. We don't have to put these labels on everything. And out here, it's almost insulting that a man feels like he has to woo you to try and sleep with you. Don't you know I can see that a mile away?
Right.
Were you taking me for an idiot? Come on now, come on, haven't you got more? Can't you come with something better? It's really frustrating. And this is my thing, I love intellectual stimulation, and it's really boring. It's so cliche. Wow, I hear the same line over and over and over and over.
What's the line?
Oh, you're from England? Oh, I've been there. Oh, you eat tea and crumpets? No, I don't eat tea and crumpets with the Queen.
That's so sad.
It's okay. No, it is what it is. I have to allow that person to be where they are in that moment, because that's their experience, and they're trying. They're trying. But there's a lot more genuine conversations that strike up in Europe. We'll be like, oh, I like your shoes. Oh, where'd you get them from? Oh, have you been to this place before? It's like, connect with me. Connect with me. I'm more than my accent. I'm more than what you see. I know you feel it. That's why you came over. Connect.
Yeah.
And that facade that I have experienced here, where it's quite it's harder to get to a deeper level here than it is in the UK.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's grey a lot, and
yeah, people are stuck in crowded spaces.
Right. You have to get to know each other quick.
Yeah.
and Miami's transient.
Right, transient, very
People
transient.
come and go.
Yeah.
People come and go, or they haven't done enough soul searching.
Yeah, it's also considered at least a play town, so people come for quick and easy play, which is misunderstanding, because it's a very rich social environment. You know, there are people from everywhere. I love it personally. It's perhaps the first place I don't get bored because there's so much variety, and I love the transients for myself. I love that it's like, because I live in Miami Beach, so it's really tiny, and in that tiny bit of made up land in the middle of the ocean, there is so much change and movement, and you know, it's like the waves, you know. So I enjoy it, but I think it's completely misunderstood. So much is, so people come thinking the whole place is like a giant club, or you know, dating scene. But I mean, that's I think that in general in Europe there is more freedom from Puritanism, and all over Europe, you know, there is more of an ease in talking about things, you
and
know,
just
like,
seeing it.
even the old people, they make dirty jokes all the time.
All the time.
They never
like
stop.
whenever my family are like, this is so awkward, I don't want to hear it.
My family too. My dad's like 80 something, and he will not stop with X-rated jokes, and they come out of him, you know, like, it's not just the jokes he knows, but like naturally, like, he'll see something and turn it into something dirty, which is the beauty of humor, by the way, right? And it's the history, that's the tradition of humor. Humor has to be X-rated and take things apart, irreverent.
It's good fun.
Exactly. That's what it is. It's a release. You know, just like sex. It's just a release, or like pent up energies from having to do what you're supposed to do all day long.
Restrictions.
No one wants to like be duty bound all day, right?
Even just going to the beach, it's normal to be topless. That's just
totally normal. No one is looking at anything.
People will look at you if you're wearing a top, you know, and it's like here, people, you know. It's so I just want to take my top off and be liberated, and it doesn't have to be sexual.
Right, it's not at all a come on.
Just trying to get some sun on my nipples, you know.
Exactly. And I found you know, when I was young, I found a lot more information about sexual practice and life in Europe, you know, like German porn, oh my god. What was that? And like 60s and 70s videotapes. Do you remember this show? I think it was called Eurotrash. With Jean-Paul Gaultier. I mean, come on. That was my whole childhood. And so of course I'm gonna be into all of these kind of things. I was exposed to it. With Lola with the massive boobs. Right. Exactly.
You know? And there was some very strange episodes, but it was good sex education because
great sex education.
We were able to see it, like laugh about it.
Right, but you see like a spectrum. And it's not like at all about penetration.
No.
You just see all kinds of bodies and all kinds of like dressing the body and, you know, archetypal fetishes. Exactly.
And that's good because then you don't feel so alone. Then you feel safe to be open about these things, and you know, again, talking about cultures, the BDSM scene here is still, I feel, a little bit repressed, still a little bit cliche, from within the cultural background that I identify with most. Here in South Florida.
Which is what? Okay, that's
well, not Caucasian.
Okay, gotcha.
There is still development that needs to be done there, I think. You know, where in London there's a lot more people of colour that are into it, and you see them around, and it's so funny because it's like, yeah, man, I'm a road man, but you're here in the fetish club. I love it. You're just open. You just want to explore. And then we'll have a deep conversation about, what were we talking about? I don't remember. Some book, you know? But that's what it is. Just one human dressing up, exploring something, and latex is nice.
Oh my god, it makes you look so good. What is that?
I know. Just
I don't
shine,
even.
The curves, just the way.
It transforms your body.
It's very nice.
Too bad it's expensive.
But it's so worth the investment. It really is. It
Yeah.
really is. And when you see someone doing like the shibaru with the ropes, it's tantric. It's a deep, transcending meditation,
Yeah, I agree.
and that's the intimacy of BDSM. Now that's what draws me in with BDSM, is that deep level of trust and intimacy and bearing of your soul,
Mhm.
because
Yeah, it's extraordinary trust, especially in public.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there are differences, I think, with the way people will do it. I think there are some groups, or you come into it for different reasons. Some different intentions might be to actually transfer pain to another, that real kind of power and dominance, power play. Like, I'm not into CBT really, like cock and ball torture, like kicking a man in the balls, not really my thing. Putting a sound down his urethra, yes, my thing. I don't know why.
Putting
But,
what? Like a needle?
It's not a needle. It's like it's called a sound.
Mm.
It's a metal tube, like a straw, and there's
Okay.
different diameters, progressively larger down a man's urethra.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've seen it done. I just didn't know the word. There you go.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know that specific word.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder where that word comes from.
Mm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and what else?
So that idea of experiencing the pain to transcend the body,
Mm-hmm.
to reach a higher level of consciousness, as opposed to just wanting to inflict pain for for pain's sake,
Exactly.
to be
yes.
violent. I don't
Yeah.
do it to be violent.
No, I don't think anyone who's conscious and is in
So bringing in consciousness.
right, exactly. I don't think that the purpose is pain. If you do it in a conscious way,
Yeah.
ever. I think
Yeah.
it's exactly what you said. You transcend the limits of the body, and by doing that, you transcend the limits of the self,
Mm-hmm.
which is more important than the limits of the body.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of rise above the self, and you find that bigger space
Mhm.
of consciousness, you know, the
Mhm.
greater consciousness that unites
Mhm.
us all. And the body is just the venue,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Because the sensation
Yeah.
takes you there.
Yeah.
And I think that when you do it in public, it's even more intense
Mhm.
because there is an audience, you know,
Mhm.
there's testimony, there's
Mhm.
witness. So, and there are all kinds of ways to reach it. You know, I don't know where everyone's preference really comes from. It's deep inside, like childhood imagery that we saw
Yeah.
before we knew or had,
Yeah.
words to describe it,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it could be all kinds, but what I think it's really useful for everyone, like heteronormative married people, is that performative and ceremonial aspect,
The ritual.
right? The ritual
The
of sex.
ritual, yes.
Right.
There is deep ritual within BDSM with bondage.
And the slowness of
The
time.
slowness. You have,
Right, yeah.
you have. Are you dominant, submissive, or a switch? I am primarily dominant. You know, I can be submissive. Very rarely am I submissive for someone,
Mm-hmm.
and they have to really earn my submission.
Yeah, they have to like really know what they're doing, and you respect them enough
Yeah,
to
and
pay homage by
yes,
giving your submission.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. And I'm more of the predator type.
Mm-hmm.
But I like ropes. I like to be tied up. The Japanese ropes
Mm-hmm.
there, and bondage. But I'm not into wearing a collar. So this is why it's the switch.
Exactly.
It's the
Yeah.
it's the dichotomy of these power plays, because even when people do like dominant, if you're like a dom, as a professional dom, you're actually submissive to the submissive.
Correct. I agree completely. Yeah, because you're doing exactly what you're told, and as they like it, and then you're paid.
Yeah.
So your pleasure, your presence is ghosted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when I do role plays, you know, it is very ritualistic, where you have all the toys out first, you lay them out properly, you know, you clean your leather, you shine your latex, you take care of these items as you would your body, that you have everything laid out, you know, depending, I'm not the most, you know, I get carried away sometimes without all the planning. Some people might have a script of what they're going to do. They talk it out. You have your safe word.
Yeah, of course.
You might even change your name and be that person that's
right. The character right.
within that time.
Yeah.
But there are like lifestyle doms, and what a dom told me was that he thought there were some people who were just born this way, and some people where it's kind of somewhat a learnt behavior or behavior that comes from, you know, it's developed
exposure,
yeah,
right,
maybe,
the lifestyle, yeah,
you know, and that's where the difference lays in how you will proceed with a scene, because if it's just part of your nature, you know, I don't particularly, some people see pegging as, you know, an act of dominance over the male, and like me want to show that I have power over him. It's not. I just really enjoy it. It turns me on. Yeah. Like.
So do you always end the pegging with climax, whether you make yourself come or your partner makes you come? Does it?
No, not all the time. It's just like, oh, let's just do this. You know, randomly. Yeah. That's why it's just more natural. As in when it feels like maybe it's just going to be oral. You know, it doesn't always have to, but it's just nice to be able to express that.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I just two comments from where I'm listening. One is, I don't think that we're born a certain way. I think we are all born every way. So I think that at moment zero, right, like if there is such a thing as moment zero, brand new out of the womb, first opening into light, eyes open, we scream, what's going on, dark, light, you know, at that moment I think we are everyone, we're all everyone, and I think that very quickly, faster than we can even describe, because we're always looking backward, so we're not there in the present moment, but within those 2-3 first years, as we pass and explain language and also social behavior, whether it is, you know, stand when we stand, sit when we stand, no, you know, don't be naked, don't throw things, no, don't, right? So within those formative years that we have no access to, I think that greater consciousness that we're born with gets shifted around a lot, and thoughtlessly most of the time, and then through however our specific brain interprets what happens around us, we become what we say, I was born this way. Because it's really, it could be at the age of 2, it could be at the age of 1.5, it could be at the age of 2.5. So it's so early, and it's before we have words and the understanding of words, you know, we're learning everything. We're learning how to like pee in a pot, or, you know.
Yeah.
So there is definitely a violence in the way that we educate our very young, because it always comes from mostly punishment and feedback, right? And then that gets continued as we keep growing, and our brain interprets pain, hurt, pleasure, gratification haphazardly with whatever we were dealt at that young age, and then that forms a narrative, you know, and we go with it. But I think it's like, I don't really think that it's because we're born, literally. I think it's just the effect of all that socializing so fast, you know, so quickly on us.
I also think maybe there's also the aspect of if our soul is just in this body for this lifetime, who knows about all the other lifetimes we've had as a man, as a woman, as bisexual, as gay, as heterosexual, and all these personalities that exist in us, or like you said, all at the same time, that we're born with everything, right? So yes, there is this idea of conditioning, but what if there's no boundaries and you are yourself trying to make your own construct?
Wow.
Which
I don't know.
which is basically what I had no boundaries, so I was like,
but you have boundaries.
Well, my boundaries came from
watching TV, your peers, your first girlfriend, your first friend at the age of 2, your first play date. That's a boundary.
But when we talk
the
about
parents of your
friends, hold on a minute. When we talk about child development, how a child learns is normally going to be from the most direct child development is going to be from your mother, father, your aunt, or your uncle.
If they are enforcers, but in
Generally,
your case,
yeah.
he wasn't so enforcing.
So then, so those boundaries then came further away.
Right.
So generally speaking, those primary boundaries are made with those role models.
If they're present.
I
mean, in this town, for example, nowadays, it's often the nanny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Very true.
The nanny in daycare, or the nanny in Montessori. The parents are gone.
True. Yeah. Didn't think of that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just, when I say arbitrary, I think that, the little tiny system of recognition, as soon as possible tries to translate to avoid punishment, to avoid feeling bad.
Yeah.
However that gets translated.
Yeah. Pavlov's dog,
Yeah. But the other thing that I wanted to touch on from what you said is, the slowing down of time, which is the ritualistic aspect of BDSM. I feel that one of the extreme limitations of heteronormative sex is that it's supposed to be happening in this like huge whoosh and hairy of
the end goal is the
passion.
climax. Yeah.
Right. You're supposed to be transported by this mostly male, but let's say male and female. We're going to be generous and feminist and say by this like joint need for climax. And you're both pushing to come as soon as possible. And so, if you reverse that, that's all it would take. You just reverse that as an experiment and try to come as slowly as possible.
I don't know if you're familiar with edging, but that's it. You just, you get to yourself just to that point. It's like, stop, take your hands off, edge. Just wait until you get to that, just you're about to release and just stop. And you can do that for hours.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty, I think, where you're in that sexual energy, that tantric field. And even I always think of like the Mary Magdalene scrolls. That taking it back to there with that kind of ritualistic. What would the word be? It's not religion, but it's that kind of practice, sacred sexuality. You open up your chakras, you activate your kundalini energy. If anyone's done plant medicine, you'll know that energy is primal, and that primal energy is sexual. Woohoo!
And healing.
Ooh, yes.
It's sexual and it's also healing. It heals. It resets every button.
Like we brush our hair, we brush our teeth. This is like washing our soul from the inside. And that primal creative energy is sexual.
Exactly.
That's God.
Yeah, I agree. The primary creative energy is sexual. Yeah, and
so you're touching God with your sexuality.
Speaking of being a muse, exactly. You do. You reach as close as you can to the divine with your sexuality when it's pure.
That's why it's precious.
That's where birth comes from.
Yeah.
It's not an accident, because that's the closest to divine, creating life from life.
Soul comes through.
Right, exactly. Yeah. The soul comes through, exactly. Yeah. I think that's beautiful, and part of our task, in this conversation, is to try to kind of give everyone the opportunity to re-examine their sexual practices and open them up. And I do believe, and I do advise this strongly, that it has a very practically healing effect. For people who have stress-related disorders, who have severe stress, tension, containment in their body. Yes, you can go get a massage or whatever you do, acupuncture, chiropractor, all these treatments to try and open up your energetic channels and release the stress. But you could just as easily and more pleasurably do it with your own partner. Yeah. If you rethink what you think sex is, and it's not just like a battle, a battle of who will make each other come sooner, or
you're
conquer each other.
You're missing 95% of the story,
right?
Yes, just trying to get to the climax.
Right.
Oof, no foreplay and just that energy exchange. As before we get to the climax, I don't know if people have experienced this or not, but I just feel my whole energy body just vibrate.
Yeah, exactly.
then you just everything's vibrating. And when you and your partner, you're so connected, you're in that state, that's when miracles happen.
Exactly.
And it's, of course, it's amazing stress relief.
Amazing stress relief.
As long as you're both connected and you're conscious and you're not using each other as human masturbating machines.
Exactly.
And,
you become an instrument of all this, of the divine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you can take it into your daily life. I feel that experience follows you in your work, in your treatment of other people, compassion, right?
Being
exactly.
Open, just like you're human. You know, whenever I see people that are a bit stressed out, I'm like, you just need to get laid.
Well, not in just any way.
No,
don't go hire somebody to get laid. No.
But you need to go and have some good extra loving.
Yeah.
Some real
But like good, by good we mean we don't mean like go on a dating app and swipe and then try to get laid on the first
connection.
date. Right. Exactly.
Connection.
Yeah. Take it beyond just the physical realm and So, and do you find that you use that at all in your work? Do you find that that energy and that the experience, or are they two very separate? You keep them separate, like I keep mine separate, so that's legit.
In a way, I used to keep those certain parts of myself separate, but now this is who I am. This is what I'm about. If you got a problem, there's some rocks for you to kick. Like with so much love, because life is finite, and that I've learned through my experience. Life is finite. One day, I won't be here, you won't be there. I'm just trying to make the most of this opportunity now and this life that I have now. And it's all love. It's all love. It all comes from the heart. With my intention, it comes from the heart. I'm probably going to mess up like every human does, but the intention comes from the heart. It comes from a place of love.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And staying in that place is just life-changing. It's life-changing.
But I had to experience the opposite to be able to create space for all of that.
Exactly.
All the doubt, all the questioning, and the re-emergence, the flowering of the self.
Yeah. And in order to be in a place of love, you have to love yourself first.
Yes.
And in order to love yourself first, you have to give yourself permission to be human.
And to be
right.
Instead
of like
truth.
Always lying and covering up your tracks and trying to give an image that's not true to who you are.
Yeah.
And projecting and hoping that you'll catch up with this projection which you want.
Yeah, you can just be authentic.
Right. If you can find your authentic self, which is part of the task.
Yes.
Because we get so caught up in all of these masks and roles and one moment you wear the hat of being your job, and then you're a parent, or then you're an uncle, or then you're a son, or so by taking on all these parts, people just end up wanting to get approval and to please, and then we live at this moment of social media where like feedback is one of our main social training methods, right? So I do something superficial, I get likes, that's good, makes me feel bad, good.
Yes.
So if I get ignored, I won't do it anymore.
External validation.
It makes me feel bad, right? But it's just so surface level, and I think that it makes a lot of people get even deeper into this mode of social approval or social ignorance. It doesn't even have to be rejection.
And I think it's also learning what you feel like without all the stimulus, especially sexual stimulus. I mean, I've gone a few times, like a year and a half without any sex,
without partner,
without a partner, because I needed to feel my energy,
what
I felt like,
and that's deeply informative.
Yeah. But then you also have to come together with partner, with connection, to know what your triggers are, to create an expansion. So it is important to honor both, independent and codependency, because they both have their tools that we can use.
Right. And we all have, soft limits and hard limits, and we, in the process of being with a partner, we can like expand both, you know, try things out. So if we have a soft limit, you know, something that we're feeling really kind of, you know, awkward about because we haven't tried it, but we don't have a legitimate reason, like a childhood trauma or something, you know, being with the right partner, we can experience that and actually learn the truth, right?
Yeah.
And every time you experience something new, you put more information into this identity, who is you, without the opinion of other people, without the judgment of other people, without what your mom thinks or your you know, girlfriend thinks or whoever, right, and says and wants and demands and says is right and wrong. If you just kind of push all that aside, step back and take, you know, like find ways to get the pure intel about yourself without reactions, without giving reactions back, right? So it's the opposite of like on-screen time. It's the opposite of social media time. It's just like
meditation,
silence, meditative, right? Solo time where you find yourself and then rejoin it, and then from that place, as you say, you blossom into the flower. And that's so beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming. It was a beautiful conversation.
Thank you,
I enjoyed it enormously. So thank you for listening. This my guest. Thank you, Lulu. I will be back with you next Friday. Thank you for trusting me as your sex whisperer. And until then, this is Eurydice. Please speak sex. Bye.
Bye.
Who are you and what did you do with John?
Hi, I'm Joe.
Okay.
I'm John's right hand.
Oh, okay.
And John had to take his dog to the vet.
What happened to Pepe?
Oh no, just
okay.
you know, the nails, if they get too long, he hurts himself.
Yeah.
So today was his appointment.
All right, I was waiting for John. I was like, I kept it going for an extra like 5-10 minutes, thinking he'll come, and then I saw you, and I'm like, okay.
No worries.
New information.
It's my wife Flor, who I think you might have met.
Okay.
She's working over there. Me and John are the three people who are. One of us is always here.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so Joe, we're gonna need to save the Facebook before we turn it off. Save it so it goes into my photos.
So
don't turn it off.
you do that better than I do. I'm not an iPhone person.
Take, oh, you're not? And then we want to take some. Oh man, how do I say it? Because John does it always, so I don't know either. Shot. I don't want to finish.
I think
if
you do finish and
it
then
will give me an option.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Well, I think so. It's not enough.